full of stats.
Engage Vernon.
I'm your new wingman.
We will win because we have.
Welcome to CommLink.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the CommLink Podcast, episode number 16, I believe. I'm Stubb, and as always, I'm joined by Silvius. Hey, how you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you? How's your blood pressure today?
Blood pressure's feeling pretty good today.
Better than last week, yeah.
Yeah. We just did our reaction video for the ISC from last week, Inside Star Citizen. And it was a good one. It was a good one on distribution centers, and we'll talk about that a bit more here soon. But that's got me in a really good mood again for 323. So
yeah, anybody that's keeps up with us weekly, go ahead and apologize for not getting an episode out this week. We were called to the front lines for liberty and freedom, and just some mental health week and yada yada. And
yeah,
but we're back this week. Hopefully, put out this one earlier in the week, and we'll get one later in the week. So we'll make up for it. But
we're gonna make it up to you. There's lots to talk about. Lots going on.
Yeah, we're going to talk some distribution centers today.
Oh yeah. So I guess we'll kind of get right into that. But hey, real quick, if you're listening on Spotify, could you do us a favor if you enjoy today's episode and leave us a 5-star review? Much appreciated. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like button. Why not? Give it a little clicky click. Just a little thumbs up. It'll make you feel good. Make us feel good. We feel good together. All right. Anyway, so distribution centers are one of the big features coming to Star Citizen with the impending 3.23 update. So, as we just mentioned, they showed off distribution centers again on Inside Star Citizen last week, and gave us a decent amount of footage as well as telling us about some of the features of the distribution centers. We got quite a few shots of various areas that can be found and various gameplay loops that can be participated in at distribution centers. Man, I'm hyped for these. I still kind of wish they were called something else. Distribution centers, kind of, I don't know, but
I want to say somebody called them DCs, maybe.
DCs.
Yeah. I think I heard that, and maybe in Star Citizen Live or something. I don't know.
Yeah, if that enters the Star Citizen jargon, I'd be happy with DCs. Yeah, DCs.
Yeah.
Start using that. But yeah, how do you feel about them?
They look really cool, for one thing, and they're, I guess, about the size I would assume. You talked about having the 2 different wings, couple landing pads. Mm-hmm. We didn't really see. I mean, we saw in the video some vehicles like driving around, but we didn't really see roads or anything like leading away from them.
Right.
So I'm wondering how. I don't think they gave us like a top-down shot of kind of like the whole thing spread out. So not sure exactly how big they are, but yeah, they look really cool, and I'm excited for new gameplay with them for sure.
They did show us on when they were talking about how you could infiltrate them. So when somebody was making their attack run or whatever in their ship, you see them, but they're kind of far away in that shot, so it still doesn't give you quite a good sense.
Yeah,
but they do appear to be sizable, clearly. But yeah, I still don't have like a full grasp on how exactly large these things are.
Yeah, I'm also interested to see how the different types of gameplay with multiple people there doing different things works out.
Yeah, so that's been a big point of concern that we should talk about, right? So, but for anybody that's not current on distribution centers, the idea is that you'll have both lawful and unlawful gameplay happening at these. And it can be something that's combat oriented, or it can be something that's more like trade oriented. but it's all happening in the same ballpark, right? It's all happening within these same DCs. So, the fear is something like, what if you're just doing some lawful cargo hauling from DC to DC or outpost to DC or whatever it is. And when you get there to complete your contract, the place is under attack and, you're being exposed to PvP that you're not super excited about and don't necessarily want to partake in. That's one part of it. And then another part is, is this going to be an opportunity for people to just straight up grief? Forget about a criminal showing up to do their unlawful contract and that's all that they're going to engage with. Maybe go, an example that they gave was like assassinating a VIP. But, if that's all they're doing, they're not really a threat to other players. But if you're showing up, either solo lone wolf style, or maybe you're showing up with an entire org and trying to lock down one of these DCs, and then that ends up preventing people from being able to, do whatever their gameplay loop is. I can see it getting messy for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of different scenarios that can play out, and I don't know. I would like to think that we can live in perfect harmony, and they just do their mission and the other person do their mission. But I mean, if you're there delivering boxes, you're probably still going to have a weapon. You're probably still going to be armed for possible combat. And then somebody comes in trying to assassinate a VIP, let's say at a lawful DC. So you're there, just minding your own business. They come in, they're going to have a crime stat. They're going to be destroying turrets, might be dropping bombs, killing guards. There's going to be chaos basically. And while you might, if you're there delivering your boxes, you might not be their target, but they still might see you as a threat, because you also have a ship with guns, you have a FPS weapon. So instead of saying, oh, I'm just going to let that guy go over there and do his box mission while I go over here and kill these guards, they're going to say, oh, well, that guy could potentially attack me while I'm trying to do my mission. So they're probably going to go ahead and attack the box person before they even start doing their assassination mission. So, I don't know. And we've seen MMOs try this before, where different types of PvP and PvE come together, and it more often than not devolves to PvP, whether you want it or not. Even outside of a PvP aspect, just like you said, straight griefing. I was listening to another podcast this morning, and they mentioned, what if, somebody just comes up with another tractor beam? You can be on the pad tractoring your boxes. So can somebody else. What's to stop somebody from just running up and taking your stuff away? Right. So we got a lot of answers with this ISC, but also a lot of questions, and I guess we're not really going to know until we see how players react to it and use it.
Yeah, we're going to have to see what security is like at these places. Like, how easy is it to actually attack and infiltrate these things, right? Further down the road, like beyond 323, I mean, hopefully if there's a beefy reputation system in game, hopefully that'll help mitigate some griefing as well. But yeah, even with full-blown reputation system, whatever that ends up being for Star Citizen, even with, stout security, and even with death of a spaceman fully in game, let's say we're at that point, you're still gonna have the personality type out there that just does not give a and they just want to grief. They just want to troll.
Yep.
So I don't know what you do about that, other than, hey man, maybe that's part of, if you're doing some serious cargo hauling, you might need a security detail. That might just, and that'll be I think, easier once we're able to hire NPCs. But for right now, that's still kind of a big ask, because you can't always just get a buddy or two together or a rando or two together. Like, it doesn't always work out, you know?
Yeah. Or if you're trying to make money, you're not really making money if you're splitting the profit 3, 4, 5 ways, unless some of these some of these economy changes they're talking about might help. But there's a lot of stuff that could go right and a lot of things that could go wrong with these distribution centers. And I think what you said about the reputation, I think that's going to be a big part of it. Trying to mitigate people from trolling. But it might be sort of a thing where, 323 happens and we might have the first iteration of reputation there, but people are still getting trolled and griefed and stuff. But, a couple patches down the line, maybe reputation gets beefed up and then we kind of see that go away. But I think for this first iteration, it might be rough. Unless this reputation update that they haven't really given us many details on might be more in depth than we think. But I don't think so.
Because right now, what they're saying for 323 in regards to reputation is it all has to do with hostility, right? So your reputation with a gang, if it's positive, is going to make 9 tails maybe not attack you, right? But if it's negative, then they will attack you, right? Kind of as simple as that.
Probably with all of the various security companies within Stanton too, with like Crusader Security, Hurston Dynamics, all the different ones will probably have different affiliations with each one.
So that's a good point, right? So let's say you're trying to infiltrate a distribution center on Microtech, and you've got really poor rep with, what is it, Microtech Security? Is that what they're called in the game?
I think so.
Yeah. It's going to be on site. As soon as you start to approach, those turrets are going to light you up. But if you don't yet have a negative reputation with them to where they're lighting you up on site, and you're able to get inside and then start to wreak your havoc and your reputation drops, we're going to have to know more about like how many security guards are in these places, because they did say in ISC that if you do attempt to take one over and you're just trying to wreck everybody, you need to bring some heavy weaponry. Like, you need to come stocked up and you need to have friends. Right. So, but I mean, what if the server's running like crap and the AI is not responsive? And, we've been able to run bunkers before where you don't use a gun once. You just run around and you do the takedown on the NPCs, and it's no challenge at all because they're just non-responsive. Now, theoretically, as server tech continues to improve, that should be less of an issue going forward, right? But we know some things are definitely going to break when server meshing is fully implemented in the game, right? Upon release. So there's no telling, how zombified that can make AI for a while. And so that could create opportunities to where people can go in and they can clear out the PvE aspect of the hostile takeover, no problem, and just start to, do whatever you want to the players, to the poor cargo hauler that's there, just mind his own business, trying to make a few bucks, dropping off some boxes. I don't know, man. I guess the overall point I'm trying to make right now is, even if they do have all their ducks in a row as far as in-game systems, this sort of thing can still be exploited just based off of how the game's performing. Just how stable servers are and how AI is reacting. Like, these could be, I think we could see DC servers being really well balanced in some patches and then just being nightmares in others. And I think it might end up being a bit of a roller coaster as more of the back end changes are made to the game.
Yeah, I think it basically comes down to there needs to be harsher consequences for being a pirate or a murder hobo or whatever you want to call it. In Stanton, there needs to be harsher consequences, and those people can go play in Pyro when it comes out. And I mean, there's still always going to be that danger of people doing stuff, no matter what the reputation does or how harsh the consequences are. But I think to make it less frequent, that reputation and stuff is definitely going to have to be pretty deep and like fully integrated into the game before we see it helping a lot. So yeah, this first iteration might just be a little rough for people trying to just avoid combat altogether. But that, even with the reputation, that still doesn't stop people from just trying, like, taking your cargo. Like, I don't know if somebody in the comments can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you can grab any box, no matter who it belongs to or whatever. So somebody could straight up walk up on your ship and pull a box off while you're trying to load stuff up or whatever.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter if they're in the same party or not. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe not off your cargo grid, but just like if your stuff's sitting out on the pad and you're actively moving it into your ship or something.
What about that hover trolley that they showed? Well, if it's still on the trolley. Yeah,
they can just come up and grab stuff. And, they made these changes with the ship systems, the trespassing, where you can charge people with the crime or shoot them for being on your ship. So maybe they can work something out to where if the cargo is like allocated to a player or their party and somebody interacting with it that isn't in the party, you might press charges against them or something. But we don't know if that's even a thing they're talking about, or if maybe it's in there. So we don't know. But yeah, it's going to be.
You should be able to put an Apple AirTag in your cargo container so that
there you go.
Report it when it's stolen.
Yeah, just a little tracking device on it. But yeah, we're just gonna have to see how it shakes out. I don't know. I'm excited for him, that's for sure. And I will definitely be participating in some of the missions. So
yeah. And you mentioned it earlier too. Just the design looks really cool on these. They look interesting,
Yeah.
When they very first mentioned distribution centers, like, to me, like, the first thing that comes to mind is like a Amazon warehouse or whatever. Like, that's not what this is,
Yeah.
They look cool. So yeah, we'll see how it shakes out. I'm sure it'll be chaotic, but hopefully CIG will be able to balance them pretty well.
This Friday, I think the Star Citizen Live is about distribution centers. So maybe some of the questions we have now might be answered at the end of this week. Hopefully.
Yeah, that should be an interesting one for sure. So we'll keep an eye out for that come Friday. Also wanted to talk about, speaking of Star Citizen Live, last week's, I was listening to kind of in the background while I was doing some work today, so I didn't catch every bit of info from it. But a couple of the things that I did pick up on, they were talking about, the new EVA updates, and part of the forthcoming Beyond 323 EVA update is fuel for our undersuits. And they dropped just an interesting little tidbit that was at least news to me. I'm not sure if it was the first time it was ever said or not. But there's going to be two different ways of refueling your undersuit. One is going to be a device similar to a med pen that you'll just kind of jab yourself with, and it'll give your suit more fuel. And then the other way is that whatever it is, I don't know if it's nitrogen or hydrogen or whatever the fuel source is, but if you're in atmosphere, your undersuit will just automatically replenish itself. So when they first started to talk about EVA fuel, I was thinking that it could be really, really super constricting if you're in EVA. not knowing exactly, how long is your fuel going to last? What are the different factors that impact how, far your fuel takes you? I don't know, any sort of balance changes that would happen with the EVA suit, like we've not heard a lot about, right? So I just thought it was interesting that they did at least confirm the way that we'll refuel with the new EVA system. So it sounds like just one more thing that you'll have to consider on adventures, right? When you're packing your med pens in your backpack, make sure that you're also including some EVA fuel in there too. As long as you do that, you should be good. Should be good.
We're gonna have a lot of rescue beacons the first couple weeks after that comes out, because I bet a lot of people aren't crazy like we are and read every line of the patch notes, and they'll probably be like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go fly around," and then they're out of fuel. So yeah, that's they've been talking about it for a while, so it'll be cool to see that finally in game. And I'm glad they're not overcomplicating how to refuel. They're not going to make it like a specific, like, oh, you have to go check out on a kiosk or whatever, like you do with gas, and hopefully it works. Right. So yeah, just to be able to, once you walk into atmosphere and it just fill back up, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, for sure. And I wonder if that also goes into effect, like just on your ship when you return to your ship.
Yeah, I would assume if it's pressurized and life support is on, that it'll probably refuel. Yeah.
Yeah, so you wouldn't even have to necessarily go back to a station or an outpost or a landing zone. Yeah, that's going to be cool. There's a couple other things that I wanted to bring up too. So we've talked a lot about the new UI updates coming to 3.23, the new interaction system, right? Where, now an F button will pop up on screen, telling you, hey, you can interact with this, pick it up, equip it, whatever it is that you're going to do with it. And yeah, I've commented that I think it looks pretty sleek, and I'm okay with how it looks, but other people have found it to be worrisome, and that, just this F thing's going to keep blipping up on my screen over and over. I don't want that. Turns out we are indeed going to get a toggle for that. So people will be able to turn off that F flashing on their screen if they so desire.
That's good to know. We talked about that last week a little bit, that a simple solution to make everybody happy would just be a toggle. So yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah, and they did say though that if you toggle off the F, item names will still pop up, but it's only going to be whatever item you're looking at. So, if you've got a bunch of items, on a table in front of your character, you're not going to see 20 different names pop up. It's just going to be the one that your character's focused on. And then that led into conversation about accessibility, which I'll talk about here in just a second. But that also led to Jared saying that, there's nothing to announce, but he could foresee them, basically making it to where you can turn your HUD off completely if you want to.
Yeah. A lot of games do that, you can just, whether it's for immersion or taking screenshots or whatever, they just let you turn it off if that's what you want. So hopefully, I would expect them to kind of add it at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then also kind of all mixed up in that conversation, accessibility came up, and Jared mentioned, I guess he is a fellow colorblind person like myself. And they talked about it. They apparently have conversations about it a good bit at CIG. At some point, we're going to get some better accessibility options in game and some colorblind options, etc. But no date was given. It wasn't said that this is going to come with 3.23 or anything like that. But just to hear them say it out loud sounded nice. Like they might have mentioned it at some point over the years, but not much has been said about accessibility options from CIG. So it's cool to hear it mentioned.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time when you're like, where's the ship at, or whatever we're trying to find, and it's, you just can't find it because of the red color or whatever. So yeah, I didn't realize you and Jared shared that. So
Yeah,
you guys can bond over
apparently
that when you meet at CitizenCon. But yeah, that's good to hear. I'm glad they're considering that and adding it at some point. I guess even for people that aren't colorblind, I guess it's it's always a good option to be able to just change colors from what you don't want.
Yeah, let people be able to customize their stuff a bit, for sure. But yeah, that's about all that I took away from SEL last week. I'm sure there were other interesting bits in there, but again, I was kind of like just half tuning into it while working. Another big thing that's been talked about a good bit in the Star Citizen community of late, they're changing their Evocati patch note policy, which is kind of exciting, man.
I mean, for degenerates like us, we already read the Evocati patch notes anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it will be a little. It'll be nicer for them to be more public facing, and we can talk about them here on the podcast a little more openly or whatever. And I think they said they're not allowing images or something from the Evocati test. Like you can't take and upload videos or whatever from your testing, but you can talk about the patch notes, I guess, and what's in the patch. And I guess you can talk about your experience, but you can't show it or upload it on YouTube or whatever. So, yeah, that's good for everybody because, see what's coming sooner and talk about it, discuss it.
Yeah, for sure. And it does say, the NDA otherwise remains fully in effect when it comes to visuals, access, or other content. So yeah, they say images, videos, and related broadcasts are still not permitted. But yeah,
there's still going to be some.
But just having those, but still having those notes out there publicly, like you said, it makes it easier for people trying to do what we're doing, right? To talk about these, because you can talk about leaks on your programming if you want to, but we don't necessarily want to piss off CIG and somehow hurt the project by talking about leaked stuff that they're just not ready to have out there yet or don't want to have out there. You know what I mean? Like they're trying to build a thing to the best of their ability, and it seems like the common sentiment is leaks always suck for game devs. So
yeah,
it's nice that things that are being tested in Evocati we can publicly talk about.
Speaking of, we haven't had one. We haven't had a Evocati patch in like 2 weeks. And replication layer, where's that at? Where is it?
What do you think's going on with that?
Apparently the last replication layer test didn't go as well as the one before, and now we haven't seen it in a few weeks. So that doesn't I wouldn't not say not surprise me, but that's not good. I mean, I would I would assume if it was going great, they'd be like, "Hey guys, here's another test over the weekend," or throw it out there. And then I think today they were like, "Yeah, we might have another test this week, maybe."
Right. Sounds like they're having to do a lot of tinkering around with it in house.
And it sounds like some of these things in 323 need the replication layer to be working. So that is also a little concerning, but I mean, the patch is clearly not coming out in Q1. Hopefully open or close to open PTU by, April, early April, something like that. So then they have up until what, June, I guess, to get it out to live if they're shooting Q2. But still, we haven't seen a lot of
June.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of patches here recently, so I don't know. Hopefully it's going better than I think.
Can you feel it happening? It wasn't too long ago. We were just talking about 4.0 and Pyro this summer. Now we're talking about 323 in June.
Yeah. Well,
the replication layer.
We've been saying it for years. Pyro for Christmas, I'm saying is almost 100% not coming this summer. So I'm still hoping out for Christmas, but yeah, they got to get this replication layer and stuff rolling, and we need to see some more Evocati patches so we can see some more stuff in 3.23 and actually get people testing it. And once I see some Evocati patches rolling out fairly regularly and getting close to that wave 1 PTU, I'll feel a little better. But yeah, right now it's looking like we're going to be waiting a minute.
Yeah, for sure. Did you want to talk a little bit about the upcoming new Idris missions that have been tested?
Yeah, I haven't. I watched Detox do it the other day, and I don't know if it's gonna. I think they talked about it on This Week in Star Citizen. They said it's going to be in part of Star Citizen or Inside Star Citizen this week. Talking about the new Idris mission.
I'm trying to pull it up.
Either way,
Inside Star Citizen, Master Mode Precision.
What I saw was just basically a bunch of devs on an Idris, and they said, "Hey server, come try and board the Idris." And I think it devolved into a lot of people just like torping the Idris and ramming it and trying to blow it up. And I think the idea is they wanted people to use distortion weapons mostly, to disable it and then board it and try and take it from the devs. But people are just blowing it up. And we know, I'm pretty sure it's on the PTU patch, that the Idris interior is in. There's videos of it out there. And
here's one. No, I'm just kidding.
And yeah, I think they just ended up blowing it up and didn't really get to board and see the inside and stuff. So
That's
I don't
a
know
bummer.
what the mission really is. Yeah.
If I'm on that server, that challenge is put out there. Like, I want to see what happens with it boarded, not blow. You can blow an Idris up anytime you want in game right now. You know, you work your way up, whatever is it Eckhart or whatever? You'll eventually get it.
They also did it on PTU where, you know, not a lot of people mess with their loadouts and stuff because it gets reset super often. So a lot of people didn't have distortion, and there's always those people that are just going to ruin fun for everybody. So
yeah,
that I think a lot of that happened, but
there's a chance to be part of Star Citizen history.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be like a new. We'll have to see more this week, but I don't know if it's going to be like a mission that pops up in your contracts, or if it's just going to be devs rolling around on various servers being like, "Hey, come fight us." I don't know, but there is some new Idris mission happening apparently.
It's exciting stuff, dude. There's so much cooking right now. I still wish that we're seeing more of what's in the oven for 3.23 than we have, but yeah, this week's making me feel pretty positive about it going forward. But I think you're right. I think it's going to be a while before we see it live. It might be up to June.
At least we got Helldivers, right, boys?
That's true. That's true. Oh my God, what a game. That game is so much fun. Servers are a nightmare to get into, but once you get in, for anybody that hasn't tried it and is interested, I would recommend it for $40 especially.
We even saw our first Stubb stream in over a year because of Helldivers.
That's true. That's true. I stayed away from streaming for for a while. But yeah, that game it gave me the itch to twitch once again. So
the itch to twitch.
no set schedule. It's not like an every Monday, Wednesday, Friday thing or whatever. You know, I'm sure there are going to be some weeks out there where, you know, there's 3 or 4, and then other weeks where there's not one. You know, I'm at a place with streaming to where, like, I just want to do it for the fun of it, hang out with chat, and have a good time. Right now we're doing it with Helldivers. I can make 0 promises on when we'll be doing that with Star Citizen. Hopefully soon. You know what I mean? Like, I sincerely want to play the game right now. And
Yeah.
it's not that it's in a horrible state right now with 322. But knowing all this stuff is on the horizon with 323, I'm just kind of in a place where, like, yeah, we could do some bounty hunting with the current flight model, and we could do some bunkers and some platforms at Orson again, or we
Yeah.
could
I
wait
haven't
and do some distribution centers and do some master modes, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, I haven't been in the PU in weeks, dude. I mean, it's just like it's not any reason to play right now. Like once you make all your money and get all the ships you want, and then it's like, what do with all my money? So that's kind of where I'm at with it. And it's that time of year where we're, especially this year with all these new updates and feature updates to like major core parts of the game coming. You're just, you want to play that right now. So it's really hard to go back and play what we have.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and a lot of us, not just content creators, but, just people that play the game on a regular basis, it's good to take breaks from it every now and again. It's not in a final state by any means, so wipes and everything still happen. So, maybe when 323 comes out, we'll have a reinvigoration of our, love for the game and just want to play the shit out of it again, like we're playing Helldivers right now. But it's really hard to log in and play right now. Arena Commander, it's not bad every now and again, but hopping into the PU right now, it's a little difficult for me.
Yeah, for sure. But we will get back into it. Maybe I might check out 322.1 once it hits live.
We need at least one more play session before they switch everything over. Just so we remember where we come from.
That's true. And you know what? You saying that sounds pretty stream worthy.
Yeah, one last old star map stream.
Yeah.
Come watch us struggle to travel anywhere.
I wasn't just talking about myself streaming, by the way.
Yeah, maybe one day. Maybe one day.
Yep. I hear you. All right. The only other thing that I kind of had on the docket, oh no, I'm sorry. There is one more thing. The new Xenothreat updates are apparently being tested as well. So Jared teased not too long ago that there were going to be some new surprises with Xenothreat that they weren't going to talk about. But apparently there's like some new missions that have been added to Xenothreat. That's the word out in the verse.
Yeah, I haven't experienced them, and I haven't really watched anybody play through them either. I just know they're there, and something, some global mission to add up towards a bar of activating Xenothreat or these progressive stages towards a larger mission or whatever it leads up to. But yeah, I think it's kind of like how we've seen previously, but there's more things players have to do to get through the phases, basically.
So it sounds like they're making it bigger and better.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure it's on PTU. It's been run on PTU a couple of times. So yeah, if you've done it on PTU, let us know in the comments. I'm pretty curious about it, but I haven't really seen anybody play it or anything. So let us know.
Yeah, for sure. And like and subscribe. The last thing that I've got on the outline here comes from the Squadron 42 January monthly report, which we have a CommLink alert up for on the channel if you want to check that out if you haven't done so already. But from that, they said that the Javelin received a complete pass this month, including intact and damaged interiors, a full lighting pass, and dynamic dressing that reacts to the damaged version of the ship. Environment Art also continued to update the Javelin's exterior to a new higher standard for capital ship exteriors. Once completed, they'll move on to the damaged version. So all that to say, it sounds like the Javelin has recently received quite a bit of work. And so I posit the question to you: how far away do you think we are from having this thing in game beyond, what it's currently been, where you can kind of like tour, or no, can't even really tour it, right? That's the bingle during Invictus, but you can see it in action during. Is that the Jav? I thought that was the bingle.
Nah, bingle's too big. It just flies around.
I'm getting old, folks. I get easily confused. Anyway, but so you could tour a little bit of it, but a lot of it was closed off. You can see it in action during Xenothreat, currently in game, and you can, if you know what you're doing, you can hijack one and get into the cockpit, but you can't freely go about the ship. So how far do you think we're away from that changing in PU? If all this work's been done on the Squadron 42 side of things?
I mean, maybe we could see like an interior or something for Xenothreat. But man, I don't, as far as like in players' hands.
Yeah.
Years.
Really? You think we're still years away? Okay.
Maybe not. Maybe next year, the year after, but I wouldn't say this year.
Just reading that, it made me think, what a bomb ass ship to include with the pyro launch. I would prefer the Merchantman because I have the pledge. But how awesome would it be for it to be the Jav?
Yeah, I mean, until we see the Idris and like larger ships like that and the Polaris and stuff, I don't.
Yeah.
For one, there's nothing to do with it. You crew up a Javelin with your friends. What are you going to go do?
I know.
Some ERTs. You might be able to get the Idris mission every 45 minutes. She's going to chain some Idris missions and like blow the shit out of that. Like, there's nothing for them. Which
you go the pirate route maybe, and try to get a bunch of people attacking you for a big battle. I don't know. I hear what you're saying though.
I mean, even with the Idris, what are you going to do? What are you and your friends going to go do with the Idris? Tell me, because I want to know. I don't know what the fuck I would do with an Idris. Go around and troll people, I guess. I don't know. Get a bunch of crime stats. So I don't think it's going to be anytime soon, but I hope we see the Idris this year and the Polaris and stuff to do with it. I hope that's because on Space Tomatoes episode this week, he was talking with Mike and he was mentioning how CIG is using more gaming terms that normal gamers know, and how they're not talking about like stuff in alpha and how they're moving towards stuff where it's in game. We even saw this last ISC that we just reacted to. They're talking about raids, in-game content. So that's on their mind. That's on CIG's mind. So hopefully this year, next year, we see some big boy ships and stuff to do with them.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
All right, man. That's it for the outline. Anything else before we close this one out?
I don't think we got much this week. It's a little shorter episode and stuff. But yeah, we got a lot of information coming the last half of the week, so we'll talk more in our next episode about that. But yeah, I think that's it. Check us out on Twitch or Stubb anyway.
Yeah. Twitch.tv/TheRealStubb if you're interested in that.
We can drop a link below.
Link below. Click on it. Hit that follow button. Hope to see you. Stop by. That would be cool. Let me pull up a script here. And that's it for the CommLink Podcast this week. Don't forget that the CommLink Podcast releases a new episode weekly, in theory, most weeks, 99% of weeks, featuring discussions about Star Citizen and Squadron 42. We're both on YouTube and Spotify, so whichever you're enjoying us on currently, you can also find us on the other. In addition to the podcast, we also have our Star Citizen and Squadron 42 reaction videos on the YouTube channel. In addition to that, we also have the CommLink Alert as well, where we read those major CIG articles such as a Squadron 42 monthly report or a Star Citizen monthly report. it's like an audiobook for those, right? So if you would prefer to listen to it on your drive, or maybe you're working out, or maybe you're at work, or maybe you're playing Star Citizen and you don't want to take the time to sit down and stop whatever else you're doing to read it, I'll read it for you. I got you. Plug me in, baby. Plug me in. Anyway, we're also on Twitter and Instagram at CommLink Pod. We're currently running a giveaway for a Cutter Rambler with LTI over there. If you check out the pinned post at the top of our Twitter page, you can find all of the juicy details there. And if you enjoyed today's podcast, be sure again to like and subscribe. This YouTube algorithm fight, it's a real thing. So, all your likes, your subs, your comments, all much appreciated. The algorithm likes that, to see that sort of engagement, and helps to spread us to other Star Citizens out there. So much love to everybody for tuning in. And yeah, thanks Silvius. This was a fun one, man. It's good to feel positive about Star Citizen again.
Yeah, and I hope we carry that positivity all the way until June when we get 323 finally.
Fingers crossed. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, everybody. That's it for this one. Stay safe. Be well.
Thanks, everybody. See you next week.